We all know that the Hindu calendar includes some humongously large time frames such as Yuga, Mahayuga, Manvantara, Kalpa, Pararda, etc. What are all those? Let's take a deep dive into that entire subject, starting with this video. Now, the starting point for this entire structure is something we have already seen. That is nothing but the day of the gods and the night of the gods. So let me anyway summarize for you in this video what is the day of the gods and night of the gods. Now we know that a daytime of the gods, I am using a more specific terminology, the daytime of the gods is the 6 months when the sun is north of the celestial equator. And the night time of the gods is the next 6 months when the sun is south of the celestial equator. So you put the two together, you get an entire day of the gods. In Sanskrit, there is a specific term for day and night put together. It's called ahoratra. So a Divya ahoratra is nothing but an entire solar year. So the idea being what appears like a day for the gods, day and night put together, is actually a complete year for us human beings. This much we have already seen before. Except now I will stress one point, that the solar year we are talking about here is a tropical solar year, Sayana Sauravarsha, which is two ayanas put together, Uttarayana or Dakshinayana, or as in this case, daytime of the gods or nighttime of the gods. Either solstice to solstice or equinox to equinox, it does not matter. But this is not the sidereal solar year, Nirayana Sauravarsha, which is the time the sun takes to traverse 12 rashis. There is a difference of 20 minutes between these two. They are not the same. But 20 minutes is nothing in the huge time frames we are going to see, so don't worry too much about it. But for technical completeness, I am mentioning this here. Good. Now I will take you to the next step in the process. In the next step, I am going to define something called a year of the gods, Divya Varsha. And the definition is a Divya Varsha is 360 day of the gods, Divya Ahoratra. Now, why 360? It's not clearly written down anywhere, but my speculation is that you take a Chandramasa, the average duration is 29.5 days, you round it off to 30 days. And you know there are 12 months in a year, so 30 multiplied by 12 is 360. So a Divya Ahoratra is a Divya Varsha is 360 Divya Ahoratra. 360 day of the gods, so that is 360 solar years. So once again, what is a year for the gods is actually 360 years for us human beings on this earth. That's what they are trying to express here. But you should understand what's really going on here. Now the top portion of this is astronomy, and I have illustrated that using stellarium in earlier videos. Daytime of the god, nighttime of the gods, and a Divya Ahoratra. But the bottom portion is extremely arithmetic in nature. There is not much astronomy here. The idea of this is simply to introduce a scaling factor, 360, to dramatically increase the time scale. Now, I can illustrate this in stellarium, but that will be simply showing the sun going round and round 360 times. That's not interesting. So what is interesting is the mathematics it's doing. It's multiplying by 360. That is the purpose of this scaling factor, to dramatically increase the time frame. And this technique is going to be used for building up the long count time frames of Mahayuga, Manvantara, Pararda, etc. So to illustrate the long count time frame, starting from here using Divya Varsha as the basis, I have to shift to a completely different model. I cannot use stellarium. It's not really very useful. So I'm going to show you a different visual approach to illustrating the long count time frames. This is the new visual structure that I am going to use to explain the long count time frames of the Hindu calendar. Now, up on top, I am indicating, once again, I am reiterating, 1 Divya Varsha equals 360 tropical solar years. Next, I am pointing out our present eon. That is the time in which we are living, the time in which I am recording this video and you are viewing this video is Kali Yuga Prathama Pāda. And below that, I am showing you what is known in software as the tree structure. And in this structure, I am showing Kali Yuga actually consists of 3 parts. There is a Yuga Sandhya, a Prathama Pāda, and a Yuga Sandhyamsha. The idea being a Sandhya and Sandhyamsha are transition periods. In a Sandhya, you transition into the Yuga, so it is like a dawn of the Yuga, and in a Sandhyamsha, you are transitioning out of the Yuga. It's like the dusk or the twilight of the Yuga. But what are these numbers that you see here? To explain these numbers, I am going to call upon a shloka from Bhagavata Purana. The shloka goes like this. Chatvari trini dvecha ekam Rithadishu yathakramam Sankyathani sahasrani Dvigunani shatani cha. So what is this shloka saying? And that is the interesting part. So I'm going to start with the second line. Sankyathani sahasrani Dvigunani shatani cha. What this means is Sankyathani meaning in numbers. Sahasrani Dvigunani Shatani cha. Sahasra is 1000 and that is here. Dviguna is double. And what is being doubled? Shatani cha. Shata is 100. So you have 100 here, 100 here. So it is a double century. So Sahasrani Dvigunani Shatani cha is nothing but 1000 double 100, and that is shown at the top 1200. So that is Sahasrani Dvigunani Shatani cha 1200. That is what this is explaining. Now there are a few points I would like to highlight here in addition to what the shloka is saying. One is that if you look at this time 100, it is 10% of 1000. And this 100 is another 10%. So the Sandhyas make up 20% of the Pāda. This is not explicitly stated in the shloka, but it is implicitly there because it is talking about Sahasrani and Shata. And there is clearly a 1:10 relationship between them. The second thing is, I want to rephrase this 1200 as simply as 1200. Why? Because I want to emphasize the fact that there is a 12 in this. And this number 12, it's been with us for a very long time in this series. For example, if you see, there are 12 months in a year in both Sauramana and Chandramana calendar. There are 12 months in a year in the Christian calendar, in the Islamic calendar, in the Jewish calendar. In many calendars, there are 12 months in a year. There are 12 segments in the Rashi Mandala, 12 Rashis in the Rashi Mandala. Same way in the Western zodiac also, there are 12 signs of the zodiac. We looked at the definition of a Tithi. It is every 12 degrees increase in elongation of the moon is one Tithi. So this 12 comes with us all along. And in all those places, the fundamental idea was that the moon is 12 times faster than the sun. The same 12, for continuity's sake, is brought over into the long count time frames. Otherwise, you see, the Yuga Pāda is only 1000. They could have kept it at 1000, but by adding 200, they brought it up to 1200. They brought the 12 into the picture. So that is the beauty of this Hindu calendar, that there's a certain continuity, a certain importance given to this number 12. It's not a baker's dozen. It is actually an astronomer's calendaric number, this 12. And you will see more of this 12 going forward. And also you can see now why we are using Divya Varsha. Why not use tropical solar years everywhere? Because if you use tropical solar years, this will not be this beautiful 1000, 100, 1200, etc. It will all be multiplied by 360. You will get big numbers. They will all look beautiful. But this pattern will not be visible. This pattern will not be obvious. You wouldn't see the number 12 coming there. That's why they chose to define these using Divya Varsha and not just tropical solar years. So everything is well thought out here. There is a reason why these things are in place in this calendar. Good. Now, let's move forward to the first line of this shloka, which says Chatvari Trini Dvechayekam Kritadishu Yathakramam. To explain that to you, I need to open up the tree a little bit. We know that a yuga is part of a bigger structure. Kali Yuga does not stand alone. It's part of a bigger structure. So let me go up one level. And now you see there is something called Mahayuga. We are in the 28th Mahayuga right now. And the Mahayuga is made up of Krita Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga. This is very well known. No secrets here. But now let's look at the durations. And I will go with the shloka now. Chatvari is 4, Trini is 3, Dve is 2, Cha Ekam is 1. So it is talking about a ratio of 4:3:2:1. Chatvari, Trini, Dve, Cha Ekam. Kritadishu Yathakramam. Krita and all the other yugas are arranged in this order, in this krama. What order? Chatvari, Trini, Dve, Cha Ekam. That's what he is stating in the shloka beautifully. So if you take Kali Yuga as the base, Ekam, Chatvari is 4800, Trini is 3600, Dve is 2400 and Ekam is 1200. Now this is nothing but a 12 times table and we are familiar with this 12 times table. This also has come before when we discussed Tithi. There we dealt with the 12 times table, 12 ones to 12 15s, because there are 15 Tithis in a Paksha and we went all the way from 0 to 180 degrees. Here we stop at Chatvari because we don't have to go beyond that. But why do we stop at Chatvari? Because if you take the total of all these, see what the total is. It's 12,000. The number 12 makes an appearance once again. So you started with 1200 and you moved it up to 12,000. You multiplied it by 10 times. Not directly, but by using the structure of Chatvari, Trini, Dve, Cha Ekam. Isn't this beautiful? How things are thought out, how things are structured and nicely set up to move from lower time frames to higher time frames. First you jumped 360, now you have jumped 10 times. From 1200 to 12,000. Now, let's take a deeper look into each of the other 3 yugas we have not seen yet. Kali Yuga we have seen inside, but Dwapara, Treta and Krita Yuga we have not seen inside. But before I go there, I need to remove the shloka because we don't need that any longer. And I will first open up Dwapara Yuga. Now remember, Dwapara Yuga is Dve. It should be double Kali Yuga. And sure enough, it's got a Pratama Pada and a Dvitiya Pada. And the Sandhyas have also doubled, 200, 200. Treta Yuga is supposed to be Trini, 3 times. And sure enough, Pratama Pada, Dvitiya Pada, Tritiya Pada, 3 times. And Sandhyas have also become 300, 300. And finally, I come to Krita Yuga. That is Chatvari. It should be 4 times. So it has got 4 Pāda, and the Sandhyas are 400, 400. Perfect. This is what you would expect. And that is the structure. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about this word, Pāda. It's a very interesting word. It's got 2 meanings which we are interested in. The first meaning is Pāda means quarter, 1/4. So now you know why these names are given like this. This is nothing but the first quarter of Krita Yuga, second quarter of Krita Yuga, third quarter and fourth quarter of Krita Yuga. So 4 quarters put together, Krita Yuga is complete, it's well formed. But when you come to Treta Yuga, it's got only 3 quarters. The 4th quarter is not there. So this Yuga is not complete, it's incomplete, it's kind of malformed, it's not properly formed. When you come to Dwapara Yuga, it's even worse because it's got only first and second quarter, the remaining 2 quarters are missing. So it is even more malformed. When you come to Kali Yuga, only 1 quarter is there. The remaining 3 quarters are missing. It's not just malformed, it's deformed. Really, really badly. Now this idea of malformation or deformation is very nicely carried over into the concept of dharma. And that is done by using a second meaning of this word Pāda. Another meaning for this word Pāda is feet. This is a very well-known meaning. Pāda is feet. But if you considered a quadruped, like a cow or a horse or a bull, it's got 4 feet, right? In fact, that's why if a quadruped has 4 feet, then 1 feet is a quarter, 1/4. That's how the meaning of quarter came. From the word Pāda meaning feet, from feet you went to quarter. Now you take the word feet. You imagine dharma is personified as a bull. Dharma is righteousness, personified as a very majestic, strong bull. And in Krita Yuga, dharma is firmly established on 4 feet. In Treta Yuga, 1 feet has fallen away. Dharma is now balancing on 3 feet. The bull, the Vrishaba of Dharma, is balancing on 3 feet. Dwapara Yuga, Dharma is barely balancing on 2 feet. And when you come to Kali Yuga, the Vrishaba of Dharma is tottering on a single feet. We all know this. We all know that deteriorating situation of Dharma. That's why we all lament that we are in Kali Yuga, which is a very bad period. But what I am showing you here is how astronomy, mathematics, linguistic, cosmology, concept of dharma, philosophy are all brought in together seamlessly and beautifully to create this rather sophisticated structure and representation on multiple levels. How beautiful is that? Now, of course, this is not the end. Beyond Mahayuga, there has to be more. Even Mahayuga, we are in number 28, so there must be Mahayuga 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many are there? And what does all this Mahayuga, where do they fit? So there is lots more to go. But that is for the next video.